This virus, I think, has taught us a lesson. It's this: we can't keep relying on the rest of the world this much. We can't be so dependent on what they make. We ran short of protection equipment, remember? China in particular bought up big in the early stages, and we didn't make enough ourselves. And some medicines were also threatened. India and China made a lot of them and wanted to keep them for themselves, quite naturally. And now the European Union has said that vaccines made in Europe, well, their export should also be limited.
Today, we have developed a system that will allow us to know whether vaccines are being exported from the EU. This increased transparency will also come with the responsibility for the EU to authorise, with our member states, these vaccine exports.
Well, that sent Australia into a spin. Two of the vaccines we've ordered, most of them come from Europe. But Health Minister Greg Hunt says he thinks we'll be okay. The bans weren't aimed at us. We shall see. But they were aimed, it seems, at Britain, which signed deals to buy vaccines 3 months before the European Union got its act into gear. And now the European Union say, hey, but we're running short. Joining me for his regular spot this year from Britain is Brendan O'Neill, editor of Spiked Online, and in my opinion, the sharpest commentator in Britain. Brendan, it's great to see you in 2021, which is looking awfully like 2020 already. What is the story here, and what does it tell us?
It tells us a lot. It tells us that the European Union has gone mad. I think we're seeing the true colours of the European Union. You know, Brexiteers like me have long argued that the European Union is a vast, sclerotic bureaucracy, which is very inefficient, very slow. And we've seen that with its failure to procure vaccines and its failure to roll out vaccines. There are very few vaccinations taking place across European Union member states. We also said that the European Union was a pretty ruthless protectionist bloc, and we've seen that too with its new export controls on vaccines, which will impact on Britain, Australia, Canada, and other countries around the world. So we're seeing this union's true colours. It is not the happy, clappy internationalist outfit that some naive commentators presented it as. It is a useless, inefficient, protectionist bloc which is letting down the people of Europe very badly indeed.
I wonder whether one of the lessons is this, apart from the fact that the European Union took 3 months longer than Britain to sign deals with manufacturers, deals that it now wants to get in the way of, is the lesson this, that with Brexit, Britain leaving the European Union, that decision will save lives because Britain made deals ahead of Europe for its own people.
Absolutely right. Brexit is going to save lives. There is no question about that. And, you know, we were told over the past year by Project Fear. Project Fear is this campaign that was wielded out by the pro-EU lobby in the UK. We were told that Brexit was such a bad idea, it would mean that we wouldn't be able to get COVID vaccines, we'd be at the back of the queue, and people would die as a consequence. The opposite has turned out to be the case. Britain acted very speedily. We decided that these were the needs of our own people, and this is what we needed to do. We are storming ahead on the vaccination front. On Saturday, we vaccinated almost 1% of the entire country in one day. I mean, this is an extraordinary effort, and all praise has to go to Boris Johnson and his government. The EU, on the other hand, has fallen way behind because it centralises everything. It centralises. Nations in the EU were not allowed to procure their own vaccines. They were not allowed to set up their own vaccination programs. They had to go through the centre. And this ruthless centralisation of everything makes it difficult for nations to respond to the needs of their people. So Britain was absolutely right to leave, and Brexit will save British people's lives as a consequence.
That is a really remarkable statistic. I don't know whether the vaccines are playing a role in this, but I see from Worldometer, you know, which measures infections and deaths, that Britain is finally getting on top of the horrific, massive third wave of infections there. You've got new cases about half from the peak of some weeks ago. Deaths are down too, but still a long way to go, of course. But this is after a huge lockdown, not just the vaccination program. How is Britain being changed by this experience?
It's been changed enormously, I think. I mean, we have been hit pretty hard by coronavirus. I think it's worth looking at why that might be the case. You know, we are a global hub. We are densely populated in comparison with other countries. We have a high level of ethnic minority communities, which I think is absolutely great. Immigration has been very positive for Britain largely over the past 50 or 60 years. And as a consequence of those things, the virus has hit us quite hard. And then we had the new variant, which was identified in November, the Kent variant, as people refer to it, which is very, very transmissible. And that's really what has caused most of the deaths over the past 2 months. So we've been hit hard by it, but we're coming out of it now. I think it's changing us in many ways. The change I'm most worried about at the moment is whether we're ever going to get out of the lockdown mentality. Are we going to go back to a situation where we really value freedom, value economic productivity, and value the connectivity of society? At the moment, people feel very isolated, very fearful, very concerned about the future. And I think that could cast a long shadow over the UK if the government doesn't help us snap out of this as soon as we've vaccinated the vulnerable groups.
Yes, I think it made people look much more to government, which is dangerous in a way. But maybe they value connectivity more after what they've gone through. So we shall see. But yeah, I know there's plenty to worry about there. Brendan and Neil, thank you so much indeed for your help.
Thanks, Andrew.